jungles and rainforests hold many secrets, one of them being humans that have never experienced the outside world. Living in harmony with nature, these are their stories. An American missionary was fatally wounded when trying to make contact with them. The Sentinelese tribe, located on an island called North Sentinel, has been untouched for centuries, and if anyone dares to come into contact with them for any reason, they will not be kind with their welcomes. Their island is the size of Manhattan, and it's constantly surrounded by dangerous waters that make it hard for anybody to get inside. However, in 2008, when John Allen Chow was able to find a way inside, his goal was to spread the good word about God and hopefully try to convert them. Being absolutely flabbergasted by his attempt, even when they had no idea what he was trying to teach them, they attacked, and sadly, John was taken from this earth because of it. In 2006, when a fisherman boat accidentally found themselves along their shorelines because the waves kept bringing them in, they were brought face to face with the Sentinelese despite their honest mistake, never to be seen again. Because of this though, they have been free of sickness and other fatal illnesses, despite the drastic measures that they take to get there. Would you dare try and make contact with them? A British explorer made contact with hostile tribesmen and lived to tell the tale. The Yaifo are another group that have made it very clear that they do not want to be disturbed, but other people for some reason do not take a hint that they want nothing but privacy. Typical. The Yaifo are a tribe that are located in the highlands of Papua New Guinea and were first discovered by the British explorer Benedict Allen in 1988. On his first expedition though, thankfully nothing had gone wrong, but it wasn't until 2017 where the news reported his disappearance after he stated that he was going to attempt a second meeting with them. He knew by doing this though, he would have no contact with the outside world, and that already in itself was a red flag. He also stated once he was rescued by the Daily Mail, "Last time, the Yaifo greeted me with a terrifying show of strength, an energetic dance featuring their bows and arrows." The most bizarre thing about all of this though was that even when the Yaifo greeted him with hostility, they accepted him. But for it to go south so quickly on the second expedition, who knows what happened in those 30 years. This may be the tribe's final moments in the Amazon. The Yanomami have been a part of the Amazon almost since the beginning, and their home to become threatened by our unwavering contact is a horrible catastrophe. To add on, because of all the hostility that we have brought towards them in return, with our gear being much more advanced and causing more damage, it makes them all the more weary of us and cautious. Anytime that people decided to get close to them, they did not hesitate. They have become so angry at us and they will attack on sight. They've clashed for decades because of the illegal loggers that come in and take the trees, while also destroying the land that is meant to be used for agriculture. As of recently, there had been people trying to mine gold in this area as well, which was also illegal, and they found themselves at the complete merciless fury of the Yanomami. Their population has grown to at least 35,000 with around 250 villages surrounding the area, but at this rate, we can expect to see those numbers drop drastically. If you had the chance to make a change, what would you do? The Mascho Piro are another tribe that will cease to exist if we do nothing to stop it. Logging operations have been wrongfully harming the locals that use the land to continue on their legacy, but thankfully people have been trying to help them as best as they can. Sadly, they don't seem to be as strong as the other tribes when it comes down to the intervention of other people. Their tools and barriers are no match from what industrial companies bring into these forests. It has become such a problem that they broke their rule of not contacting anyone outside of their tribe. They were seen treating food and other supplies with local villages such as the Yang locals. That is absolutely massive. They are being forced to intermingle with people that they have no idea what they will bring them rather than on their own accord. Indigenous organizations have been doing their best, however, when it came to trying to preserve their land, but obviously this has become quite the challenge at succeeding with. They will stop at nothing though to get the Peruvian government to cease all logging operations in the area, so fingers crossed. Ancient traditions, using the land which they thrive on. Uncontacted tribes are watching their hidden world grow smaller and smaller every day. And it's all because of us. This is the only surviving member of an uncontacted tribe that has now been completely wiped out. People who have been keeping an eye on him stated he had been alone for 23 years after his tribe was targeted by a group of cattle ranchers back in 1995. He was the only one that made it out. The guy seemed to be doing alright for himself, managing just fine for 2 decades on his own. He was given the specific name Man of the Hole because of the large dugout pits he would create to trap animals inside of. A company called Funai managed to capture some footage of him cutting down a tree. It's quite eerie and saddening seeing him all alone out there, but life goes on. No one dares to get close to him though, because back in 2004, he had sent a warning to the people who were trying to follow him and record. An arrow had actually managed to injure one of the workers as well. We often forget that people who've been alone for so long are not to be messed with, especially with someone with such a troubling past such as his. The Ayoreo tribe have been uprooted and forced to leave their land, being exposed to all kinds of diseases. Since the 1940s, when the Mennonite settlers came around and made themselves known, they found the expansion of their home has become smaller and smaller over time. It has been all by horrible force too, and once the 1970s came along, they were constantly attacked by missions and missionaries, and they would be placed into it whether they liked it or not. This had a terrible impact on them, because not only was their entire world changing at a very drastic rate, they were being introduced to all sorts of illnesses that they had no idea how to properly treat. Loved ones were starting to pass on, and despite them having around 550,000 acres of land, it had all been consumed by private landowners. Much like with the other tribes, deforestation has completely put them on the brink of extinction. This has forced them to reach out, begging for there to be a change and hoping for legal action could be taken to protect their peace. But the Paraguayan government is stalling any sort of negotiation for the time being. What can be done about this? The Awa tribe refused to leave the land that has always belonged to their ancestors. Much like the majority of all tribes, the Awa people are not going to stand around while their home continues to be chipped away little by little. They are nomadic hunters and gatherers, but although they move from place to place, they can tell their Amazonian home has been shrinking at a drastic rate. They still do use bows and arrows, but if they come across any specific powerful tools that poachers carry, they'll obviously hold on to those as well, given the circumstance at how much powerful outsiders are becoming. In the 1980s, the major iron ore railway seemed to be the turning point for them, as people began to intervene with the peace that the Amazon held, bringing in all sorts of unwanted sickness and destruction to the extremely fragile and delicate rainforest. If the government is not going to do anything for them, then they're going to fight fire with fire. They will not continue to have random outsiders come in and take the resources that they desperately need to keep their generations alive and healthy. If you were with them, what would you do to help? The Jarawa tribe are being treated as a human safari. Can you imagine that in this day and age, people just like you and me are being looked at and treated like hostile animals? In the forest of Andaman Islands, the Jarawa tribe are dealing with the biggest threat that they have ever come across, and it is still ongoing. In total, there are at least 400 members within this tribe, but sparse out into villages of 40 to 50 people. That is not a lot. They use basic hunting skills such as fishing, gathering, favoring bows and arrows rather than the tools we use today, while also being huge fans of honey. They are highly intelligent when it comes to knowing the land they live on, and it has been speculated that they know in detail over 150 plants and 350 animal species, using their knowledge in figuring out how to properly hunt specific animals and how to use plants to the best of what they have to offer. With so many people beginning to move into this island though from the outside, they've begun to view these people as a spectacle. People try and risk getting close to them, bringing unforgiving harm to them just because they think they can. It is absolutely heartbreaking and disgusting. Do you have any fun facts about uncontacted tribes? Let us know down below. I am eager to hear your thoughts on all of this.